Hi everyone, welcome to the Rugby League History channel. Tonight I'll be previewing the 2021 Rugby League World Cup final between Australia and Samoa. The match is being played this Saturday, the 19th of November 2022 at Old Trafford, the Theatre of Dreams, Manchester United's home ground. And I think for both sets of teams and their players, for some of them this will be the biggest game of their careers. For Australia, this will be their 10th World Cup final and they're 11 times winners of the tournament. They've dominated the tournament pretty much, you could see, from the 1970s onwards. And as for Samoa, this is their first ever time in the final. Before last week, they never even made a World Cup semi-final before, and now they find themselves in the final at Old Trafford. This will be the third World Cup final being played at Old Trafford. The other previous two both featured Australia in 2000 and 2013, and on both of those occasions, Australia won quite convincingly. With Samoa against Australia, they've played them 3 times in their history. They're yet to beat Australia in a competitive fixture, and the last time that these two nations played at a World Cup was the 2017 World Cup. Samoa played against Australia in the quarter-final, and Australia beat Samoa 46-0 in Darwin there in front of about 12,000 people. Before the tournament started, a lot of people had Australia to win it and either face England, Tonga or New Zealand in the final. That was until people realised that New Zealand and Australia would eventually meet in the semi-final. So there were a few people out there that said that maybe Samoa could make it as a dark horse to make the final, but everyone had pretty much penciled in Australia to make it. And for them, this final on Saturday will just be business as usual, I imagine, having already made 9 previous World Cup finals, and this being the 10th. I think for Australia, they're right where they expected to be, I think. And as for Samoa, this is a massive moment, a massive chance to win a World Cup, and there's a lot riding on this game. There's a lot that might happen in the rugby league world if Samoa are to win on Saturday, because there's talk about them being bumped up to a tier 1 nation if they do win the Rugby League World Cup on Saturday. For me, Australia making the final is not a surprise. They dominated the early rounds like I expected them to. The match against Lebanon, they did what they had to do to win that. And against New Zealand, they weren't at their best, but the marker of a good side, in my personal opinion, is a side that can still win a game of rugby and not play at their best. Yes, they got lucky a couple of times, especially with that Peter Hiku no try, and then the offside try that also was scored by Peter Hiku. So for Australia, I think going into this final, they'll be well prepared and they'll know that they're going to be in for a game. But their defence throughout this entire tournament, I think, has been the highlight for me in terms of Australia. They've only conceded 32 points for the entire tournament. For Samoa, with their defence, they've conceded 107 points for the tournament, but they did concede 60 in the opening match against England. Josh Adokar on the wing for Australia has had a great tournament, and he's the leading try scorer at this 2021 Rugby League World Cup. He's got 12 tries, and if he scores a try on Saturday, he will officially have scored the most tries by any individual at a Rugby League World Cup since the tournament began in 1954. I think for Australia, if they are to win on Saturday, I think their defence is what's going to win them the game. Especially in those early matches in the tournament, their line speed was absolutely crackers. And if they can do that against Samoa, I think that's going to be their key to winning, just their defence, because it's been rock solid throughout the entire tournament. For Samoa, I think they've had a lot of adversity to make the final. They've had a lot more injuries than what Australia has. And I know that Tabuai Fidow got ruled out, Hamlin Uele was ruled out. Danny Levi had to go home for personal reasons, and now they've got the would-be retiree in Chanel Harris-Tavita. He's the current number 9 at the moment, and I expect him to probably play at number 9 on Saturday. So for Samoa, they've had a lot of adversity coming into this final. But I think the key for Samoa on Saturday, if they are to win this Rugby League World Cup final, is they have to sort of play the same way they did against England. They have to get under the skin of the Australians a bit. I think that's their forwards have to be on point. Papali'i and Paulo, they have to have big matches. And I also think that the Penrith trio, Crichton, Luai and Toto, are going to have to step up once again. Especially, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Luai with the attack. I think Milford might take a back seat, and I think Luai will be doing most of the plays there on the Saturday at Old Trafford. But in seeing that on both sides, there's a wealth of experience and a wealth of big game experience, because there's players on both sides that have won premierships, played in State of Origin deciders, played on the biggest stages. So I think for a lot of players out there, I think that they're not going to be overawed by the occasion, and I think a lot of them are used to playing in this environment and pressure. So I think it's going to be a really good match. I think it's going to be really tight, but I'm going to go for Australia to win by 14 points. I think I reckon probably even Samoa might take the lead to begin the game, but I just think as the game wears on, I just think Australia will win by 14 points. I think out of the two squads, I just think that the Australian one's better, and they've got some very good players in key positions. Like if you look at the Australian squad, they've got Tedesco, who some say is the best fullback in the world, Munster at 5'8". Some people say he's the best standoff 5'8" in the world. And then you've got Nathan Cleary, Clive Churchill medal winner, grand final winner with Penrith. And at scrum half there, you've got Isaiah Yeo, who some people see is the best loose forward in the world, or lock. So across their squad, they've got some very good players, and I do expect them to win on Saturday, and I expect Australia to win their 12th World Cup title. So anyways, everyone, that's been me preview of the 2021 Rugby League World Cup final between Australia and Samoa. If you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comment section below, and let me know your predictions. Who do you think is going to win on Saturday? With the podcast this week, it's not on a Wednesday. It's going to be tomorrow on the Thursday. Me and Just Rugby League will be coming back with another episode of Review from the North podcast. And then there's also me review of the World Cup final on Saturday. And I also did a PNG video the other day, which you should check out. But this has been Rugby League History, and I'll catch us all later in the next one. Alright, tatty bye for now.